honestly been playing that song. Like every time I'm at the gym, I listen to this band Sunrise because it's kind of like a band of the month for me. So they don't seem to be that big. I don't even know if they have a label. But their music's really catchy. Obviously, most Cellador fans, especially if you're a fan of genres similar to ours, I think that this is a band most people would enjoy. It's kind of like it has a little bit of like an Angra vibe to it, but like a more simplified Angra, like more like just a speed riffing Angra. So that's the first band I wanted to suggest. The second one is our producer Pete. Well, I guess you could call me the producer. He was more the audio engineer who did all the mixing, mastering after he finished tracking the album. He has his own band called Vomitron. They exclusively play and record video game covers from like the original Nintendo. So they do songs.
No way.
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
There's a lot of bands that do this, but Pete adds his phenomenal, flawless production techniques to it. It's just, you know what? That's actually why I wanted him to do this next album, is because of Vomitron. I knew Vomitron, and they're kind of like us. They only have 2 albums that I know of, and one of them's from like 2006, and then the other one came out like just 2016. So they got like a 10-year buffer time on albums too. But Pete's a busy guy because he mixes bands, obviously. So, but once again, like this is the album I'm finding myself listening to more than anything else I've heard recently, is the new Vomitron. So the 2 bands I would suggest are Sunrise and Vomitron. They're both very, very similar styled bands with, heavy keyboards, shredding guitars, sort of a speed metal style on both of them. I really can see most Cellador fans being into both of these bands.
Sweet. And let me ask you, because I know that you're really involved in a lot of the production and basically being more, you're the guy behind their Facebook page. I mean, you are the manager essentially of the band as well. But one of the things that really stood out to me, and I wanted to ask you about this, because when Michael Gremio left the band, ever since then, I mean, you took over vocal duties. And I mean, was singing something you kind of always had an interest in, or did you just kind of get tired of, your singer having LSD, having lead singer disease, and instead you said, screw it, I'm just going to do it myself? Or, kind of, I don't want to, stir up any dirty laundry or anything like that, but what kind of led you to saying, screw it, I'm just going to sing and play guitar on this from now on?
It was literally all those things. I took up the vocals out of necessity because that's why we didn't start playing shows in 2012 versus 2013. We went a full year basically having the music side of the band down, but we just didn't have a singer. At that point, I was still content on trying to audition singers, and we auditioned literally since we started having problems with Mike, which would have been 2007, 2008ish. Back to the days when me and Bill were sort of like on the side looking at other singers. The band Cellador has probably had auditions for maybe 30 singers.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, it's just been a nonstop search and a nonstop tedious, stressful process that has never ended up with a final guy making the band. It's just we're not super picky. Some people we really liked, but they just lived in, like, say, Sweden. There's one guy who auditioned for the band. He sang Honor Fourth. I won't mention his name because he's got his own following nowadays, but he sang Honor Fourth cover. It's still on YouTube, so it'll be easy to find. I loved this guy's voice. I still love this guy's voice, and I wanted him in the band. How are we going to make this work when he's in Sweden? Right. We couldn't figure it out, and he had other things going on in his life. That was actually towards the end. That was 2012, and that's kind of when I was starting to really consider just doing it myself. At that point, I mean, I was already doing the vocals on demo songs just to show the band members or show a handful of people how the songs are supposed to go, and I was developing sort of a novice level singing ability just from recording songs. I didn't have the stamina yet or the ear for pitch to be able to sing songs live all the way through without sounding terrible. So it was my bassist James that finally, we have been practicing together as a band for 9-10 months at this point, auditioning both local and national, international singers online and in person. And he finally just said, hey, dude, you're sounding fine on the recordings. I think you can get somewhere if you just start doing vocals yourself. He's like, I'll help you. We'll go get a PA system. We'll set it up at practice. We'll be patient with you. Let's just try it. And, as you were saying, I admit that for years on end, I was like, oh, it'd be cool to be a singer, but I just don't think I can do it. I don't think I have the ability, and I don't think I have the confidence for it. I never thought, for the longest time. So, and it was very nerve-wracking at first, I'll admit. I mean, it was just, we're in our private band rehearsal space. They had to deal with me screeching, and it was pretty bad at first. It was frustrating. It was basically a process of building up strength in the voice, and all the other beginner things that, it reminded me of being 15 years old again and first learning guitar. It was that same sort of thing, building up just very simple, rudimentary things in the voice. But I did it out of necessity because the band was ready to play shows. They were all anxious, and we just couldn't find anybody else. So I took it up. I started doing it myself. We really expedited the process as much as we could. I was like, okay, if we're going to do this, we're going to be practicing 3-4 days a week because I need to get this down ASAP. I don't want to spend 3 years before we play a show because I have to build up my voice. We did it in about 3-4 months before we did our first show. So I had 3 months practice. I've never actually before then singing in front of a mic. I mean, aside from like just some very small backing vocal parts.
Right.
Even in the interdeception line. In the interdeception days, I was never like the main backing vocals guy because I had a horrible ear for pitch when it came for singing. I only could do very basic like chants. Like the chant on Leaving All Behind I could do. But I couldn't sing at all back then. And I basically built it up from scratch to where it is today. But we brute forced it. Just like anything else I take upon myself, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all in. I learned things from, I'll flat out say, I learned things from our old singer, habits that I didn't want to mimic. I was like, okay, so if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be the most hardworking singer that I can possibly be for myself, for the band, for the fans, and for the band members. So that's how it's been that's how it's been since I took up the vocal spot in right before 2013.
Well, and the difference between On Our Fourth and Off the Grid, tremendous difference as far as vocally is concerned. So really quick before we let you go, quick game you want to play with you, Chris. It's called This or That. It's real simple. You got to pick one or the other, okay? You ready for this?
I got it.
All right. Iron Maiden or Judas Priest?
Iron Maiden.
Burger King or McDonald's?
McDonald's.
Solo Ozzy or Black Sabbath Ozzy?
Solo Ozzy for sure.
Killer riff or killer solo?
Killer riff.
Beer
Definitely.
or wine?
Beer.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Driving or flying?
I'll say flying.
Shower in the morning or before you go to bed?
I do both, but I'll say morning.
Read the book or watch the movie?
Read the book. Reading a lot these days.
Cool. Who wins in a fight? Grizzly bear, gorilla?
Grizzly bear.
All day. I totally agree on that. All right, now, this is a debated one between Biv and myself even sometimes. Solo Dio or Dio with Sabbath?
Got to go with Solo Dio or Dio. Dream Evil's one of my favorite albums.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Metallica or Megadeth?
Megadeth. Everybody knows. I'm a big fan.
I can tell. Apple or Android?
Apple. I got an iPhone these days.
Gas or charcoal grill?
Gas.
Really? Oh,
what?
Yeah, I think
grilling almost every day. Weather's been nice out here in Denver.
Lump charcoal. Yeah, I got to introduce you to lump charcoal.
Last time I tried, I almost started a fire.
Look, I changed Jason. I did change Jason and his wife's life.
That's absolutely
with
true.
Lump charcoal.
Yeah.
But
either way, and last but not least, Chris, Motley Crue or Poison?
I like both. I'm actually a big hair metal fan nowadays, but Motley Crue.
Yeah. Absolutely agree with that. Okay, well, Chris, again, thanks for joining us on the show. Real quick, before we let you go, what's the best way for fans who are listening to the program to hear more about Cellador, check out your stuff? What's the best way to get in touch with you and the band, et cetera, et cetera? I'm still a big fan of .com websites, so you can always go to Cellador.com. It's fully revamped for the Off the Grid theme. It looks great. Cellador.com will work. Our Facebook obviously has all the updates as well. Facebook.com/Cellador. Try to do our best to make the domain name very simple on all the websites. We're also on Bandcamp, Cellador.com/Bandcamp. Scarlet Records is going to be uploading all the Cellador videos, so be sure to subscribe to Scarlet Records YouTube channel. Sweet.
We're on Reverb Nation. We're on Twitter. We're on SoundCloud.com/Cellador. Should be pretty easy.
Awesome.
And we will post the link to your both website and Facebook
Absolutely.
On our page.
Yeah,
as well.
definitely get the Facebook in there. I know it's definitely needed.
And for those who want to know, I mean, that's the way I got in touch with Chris in the first place. I'm a fan of the band, and he was very responsive and very flexible and getting to sit and chance to chat with us in the first place. So,
thank you, Chris, for for coming on the show. We totally appreciate it.
Absolutely, anytime, guys.
All right,
Much
thanks,
appreciated.
Chris. Stay in touch, man.
Yep.